Mute it.
They're down by 14. And Toretta intercepted by Teague. George Teague to the end zone. Touchdown. Hall is now right in the middle. That says blitz. Passes away. Penalty flag down. Lamar Thomas has got it. Lamar Thomas is on his way down the sideline. George Teague is after him and runs him down. Takes the ball away from him. Teague's got the ball. And they tackle Teague back at the 12. Game's over. Alabama defeats Miami. Number 2 beats number 1, 34-13.
Blitz on from the 1. And they throw a fade right side of the end zone for Owens. He got both feet in. Touchdown catch over the shoulder. Here we go. They're going to have a big fight. There goes Owens. Puts it down. And he levels it.
Here it goes.
And now Teague is aimed at by an offensive lineman. Flozell Adams pulls Teague away. And Owens is waved to the bench. And he stands in the middle of the star and holds the ball out.
Let me tell you something, Brad. Terrell Owens started it. Emmett Smith went out to the 50, trumped him. Now Terrell Owens comes back, and George Teague said, you know what, I'm not going to take this. Good for George Teague.
As always, good for George Teague, and welcome everybody into the Teague's Take Podcast NFL Championship Sunday preview show, where Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady are going to bring the experience. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes will bring the youth. Who will advance? We find out tomorrow. As always, I'm joined by George Teague and JT, and we've got special guest analysts right now. Clancy Pendergast, Ken Stills Sr. with us a little bit later. The great Cornelius Bennett will join the show. But, boys, 2 really big games tomorrow, and we've been talking about these matchups differently really for the last couple of weeks with the other pregame shows. And I think we got the best 4 teams that are left remaining. George?
Sorry, I almost did it again. I got myself out of you, but I agree with you, man. I think we got them right. We've been talking about it, and as teams have been moving and our index, strength index, I think we've done a good job of putting this together. I'm really interested in seeing what's going to happen, between the Pack and the Bucs with Tom Brady. I think this is a kind of sneaky one that I hope that we dive into at length here. And then the younger one, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. So this is going to be good, man. It's going to be good. Kenny, thank you for coming on. Appreciate it. So I'm out at the DFW Marriott South. Me and Kenny still close. We both coach in the Blue-Gray All-American. We got practice a little bit later on today, so we're taking a little hour to be with you guys right now. So, Clancy, appreciate you as always. I know you're going to drop that knowledge on us.
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I wanted to ask Kenny before we get into the game, if you guys don't mind, since he played with the Packers as well as I, how much of a difference is this weather going to make for the Bucs coming up?
Hey, George, while he answers that, I want you to check your audio settings. You got quite a bit of an echo. It sounds like you're maybe not on your mic.
Got it.
Good. Well, first of all, I appreciate you guys having me on the show and inviting me in. for my little bit of expertise and knowledge. I played 5 years in Green Bay and started every game while I was there. And they called it the frozen tundra for a reason. I remember we'd play the Bears and we knew Walter Payton was coming in. So we would keep that thing solid as a rock, so he didn't have that great footing. And we could adjust that field the way we want to. Everybody knows they have the big coils underneath, so they can heat that thing up and get it muddy, or they can keep it nice and frozen. I think in this day and era, it should not affect the Bucs. I think the Buccaneers are looking for this opportunity. They've got a bunch of hungry guys. It's going to be cold, but I think with all the gear they have out there now, it shouldn't be an issue at all. Only thing that could be an issue is if the field is frozen and it's rock solid. But as far as being cold out there, I think the guys could care less.
All right. What about Kim? That could be a factor here for someone or anything. Nope, we're having all
Tim.
Somebody's giving us a maybe it's George. Sorry, Kenny. Go ahead, man.
Go ahead. Did you have a question for me?
Yeah. Well, would precipitation be any factor here? You think if it's snowing light, or we're going to go to the ground game, or how is that going to affect anything?
Well, when you look at it, so let's look at them statistically. The Buccaneers right now are really statistically looking like a better football team. They seem to run the ball better. They average more yards on the ground rushing. They're doing a better job in the pass game because the run game is opening that up. If you look at the stats from the last game, I have the stats over here. They only rushed for under 100 yards. They rushed for 94 yards and they threw for 107. While the Buccaneers rushed for 158 yards and they threw for 166. I think the Buccaneers played their best game they possibly could have played last time. They had 0 penalties. They got 2 turnovers. And they sacked the quarterback 5 times. Aaron Rodgers, he had a QBR of 12 in that last game. So I want to say the Bucs probably played the best game they possibly could play, and they're going to have to take that up in the Lambeau. Now, participation, I think when it was snowing, when it was 32 degrees Celsius, when the snow was out there, we loved it because that's a warm day. When it's 8 below, 7 below, or just 8 degrees or 7 degrees, now, that's a little different. Now it's colder, but I think, again, these guys adjusted well. We have the heated benches on the sideline so you can go put your hands and your feet in. So it's really not going to be an issue. I think if it's snowing, they're going to enjoy it a little bit better. And now with the gloves that the league makes and these guys have, I mean, they're so sticky and tacky. Guys are making the one-handed catch every game, every play. But I think as an overall, if you look at the game, you're going to have the running game intact. Again, like I said, the Bucs have done a better job of rushing the football these last few games in the postseason, and the Packers are being average. They're depending on Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams to make plays for them. And if they continue to do that, I love both situations. Again, Tom Brady's the GOAT. He's the best. He's the greatest of all times. It's going to be a challenge for them to stop Brady. And with the pressure defense that Coach Boyles is bringing on, it's going to be a challenge for the Packers. They're going to have to play one of their best games. You look at the last games, the Bucs played penalty-free, not one penalty. The Packers had 6 penalties. So, again, each team's got to play their best game. You're in the championship, so you're expecting anything less, and it's not going to happen. You got 2 great quarterbacks, and the spread is 3. It's the Packers -3, and I think it's going to come down to that for the final score.
Clancy, do you see any chance that the Buccaneers have a repeat defensive performance from Week 6 in this game?
I do. I think Coach Bowles does a nice job of stopping the run on first down, getting them in teams in second and longer situations, and then he kind of pins his ears back and mixes in the pressures and the coverages. So I'm excited to watch this game and see how it plays out. But it's going to be really tight. But, I think it's going to boil down to who can run the ball better. And I think Tampa Bay does a better job of stopping the run, in my opinion, than Green Bay does.
So do you guys think that they're going to play more man-to-man? Or how do you stop Aaron Rodgers and Devontae in that group? Is it more man? Is it more zone? What do we got to do?
Yeah, I think if you're going to play single high to stop the run, you're going to have to use that post safety to lean over to don't worry about one side of the field, just worry about where number 17 is. And maybe they can get a bracket on that way and still have 8 in the box to be able to stop the run versus any form of two-back set that Green Bay may get into.
I'm a stats guy. I'm all about the stats. And statistically, it shows that when the Buccaneers play the one high press man, they're at their best success. They blitz 1/3 of the time, where the Packers on their defense blitz 1/4 of the time. So they're going to have to, like Coach Clancy's saying, they're going to have to pressure them on first down, hoping that they run the football. I mean, obviously the Packers know this too, so they'll probably try and throw on first down. And they got to pay attention to the tight end as well. The tight ends had some success. He's their second leading receiver. So he's a guy that if you don't pay attention to him, that could hurt you with the Packers offense. But they can't play zone, not against Aaron Rodgers. He'll pick them apart. And a lot of defenses, when they play zone, they don't match zone. They kind of just drop, hook, curl, flat, and that's not going to work. Aaron Rodgers will pick that apart all day long. So I think the Buccaneers are going to have to play pressure up front, force them to get in the long yardage situations like they did the last game, and see if they can have some success. When you look at it in the last game, they had the even amount of plays. Both teams had, I think Buccaneers had one more play than the Packers did. But time possession, right down the middle as well. What killed the Packers was the turnovers and the sacks. They got to the quarterback 5 times. The Buccaneers haven't lost a road game. There's 7 straight road games, so that gives them some odds up here. It's going to be a major challenge. And again, the Packers got to protect their quarterback and try to get the ball out to the receivers on the edge.
And I think one thing you got to look at, talking about the weather up there, and Bruce Arians alluded to it earlier in the week, is what's the wind going to be like? You get in that game where you're pressing and playing man to take away the run and pressing the receivers and forcing the quarterback to have to really throw it into tight windows. And the wind could be a factor. It'll be interesting to see how windy it does get. And as you guys know, by playing there, it can blow pretty hard in that bowl.
Yes, sir. I played in a minus 80-degree wind chill back in the day, God. And you could put a can of Coke outside and it would expand and pop. That's how cold it was out there. And, we went out there, guns up, trying to be all tough. And back in the early 80s, all we had was that one heater blower. You would stand there with a jacket, try to blow the heat into the jacket, because we only want the visiting team to have that same equipment. Now in the NFL, whatever the home team has, the visiting team has to have. But again, I think it's the NFL, and it's 2021. All the gear that they have, it shouldn't be a factor with the skull caps, the heated mitts, the feet warmers, the bench. They should be able to go. And 2 great quarterbacks. I think both these guys, you watch them. Tom Brady's throwing dimes left and right. You saw the pass a couple weeks ago. I mean, between 3 guys, dead in the hands, and Aaron Rodgers obviously throwing off his back foot, throwing dimes. I think these guys can handle it. The wind is going to be a factor, but I think these are two of the greatest quarterbacks we've watched in a long time.
Yeah, we've talked about the defense going to the Packers offense, comparing it to the Week 6 matchup. I don't think this offense was fully cooked yet at that time. They've come a long way since then. The Packers were late getting to the line of scrimmage a lot in that game. Rodgers didn't have time to adjust his protections before the play clock ran out. The Green Bay running backs were missing blocking assignments because of that. So that kind of contributed, I think, to a lot of the pressure that Rodgers was getting from the Bucs. But I think the offense has come a long, long way since that game. Rodgers has only thrown 3 picks, and he's playing better. The offense is playing better. And I think it's going to come down to the elements or the weather, like you would imagine in a game like this, especially being in Green Bay. Which team's going to overcome the defense and the weather at the same time. Does anybody else see it that way?
I do, and I don't know if Kenny said that he played in minus 80-degree weather. That's
wind chill, yeah.
Stop that wind chill. Yeah, so the coldest I played in up there was my rookie year. It was 26 below, and I know how that was, and I don't care. I lived up there and stayed up there, and I felt like I was about to die in the game, even though we figured out how to practice in it and all the rest of the stuff. So, I do understand the technologies and the clothes and the gloves and all that kind of stuff. But if you're coming out of Tampa and you're just used to 70, 80-degree weather, there's no way to prepare for 0 degrees, in a facility somewhere. So I think there will be that is a concern for me regarding the Buccaneers, just because of that. You guys have made some tremendous points about the quarterback play in the running game. I think I'm really interested to see what the Bucks do with their running backs between uh, Fournette and Ronald Jones, and how they try to incorporate those two guys into the scheme, because it's going to be really important, for them to have some success in those elements, because that ground is still going to be hard. It doesn't matter what kind of warmers they have on that turf. If it's 0 or below, or feels like temperature is like that,
Right.
it hurts falling on concrete when you're getting hit. So, there's a lot of variables, and I don't know what you think, JT and Tim, about, is Mike Evans really going to have some kind of game outside of the running backs? Is Antonio Brown really ready to go or not? Are they hurting with that wide receiver crew with the Buccaneers?
The Brown is out.
Well,
He's
Antonio
already
Brown. Yeah, Antonio Brown's out. They said that this morning, so he's out for the game. I'm gonna jump on that, and there was a 2-part question. I want to go back first to the first game, the 30-10 game, and you look at the Packers offense, and now I'm giving you guys a Packers biased view. I know, because I like both teams, but Aaron Rodgers threw 2 interceptions. He has 5 for the entire season. He has 5. His QBR was 12. He was sacked. He was sacked 5 times for minus 53 yards. They only rushed for, their top running back had 34 yards, and Adams had 61 yards and no touchdown. That is an anomaly. That's the only game it's happened. Defensively, they were giving up 31 points a game and 347 yards. Since that game, they went down to 299 yards a game and 17 points a game. So whatever happened that game, if it woke up that team, the Packers have made adjustments. And these are the numbers talking. They'll do a numbers check, but these are the numbers talking. The Buccaneers played their best game ever. Like I say, they were penalty-free. They had total 324 yards. They rushed for 158, and they passed for 166. Brady wasn't sacked at all, no interceptions. They were 4 for 4 in the red zone. Like I said, penalty-free. They were 60% on third down. So, again, you look at the numbers from that game. So now you go to this game in Lambeau. Again, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw a touchdown and they don't rush for at least 95 to 100 yards, then they're going to lose the game. You got to have those things. Like Coach Pendergrass is saying, you've got to run the football at this time of the year. You got to run the football. That's how you control the clock. That's how you set up the play action pass. And maybe the Bucs do a better job of that because they think Aaron Rodgers can throw the ball more, because obviously he led the league in those passing yards. So maybe they think that's their advantage, but they're going to have to make those adjustments for this game to win the ball game. So.
Yes, sir. I think that's a great point that you make. And, when you start talking about it, it leads you kind of into, is this, what is the mindset of the player when you get beat like that early on? Is there any advantages to that or disadvantages? What is the psyche, of the player when you lost early and you got to play them again? Does it make a difference? I got my, obviously, let me give you my opinion. When we play someone, and you had to play them twice, and especially if you got your butt kicked the first time, as a player, I think you try to do more, especially someone like Aaron Rodgers, man. I think his preparation that he's probably having this week, as much of a professional is, I bet it's different than what it was. He's a discount double check guy, and he's got to show, he got to do his stuff. He's cocky. I think that he's going to be ready to play. I got a little bit of bias in this too. My few years up there, I got a soft spot in my heart for the Green Bay Packers as well, but I'm really, really looking forward to watching these guys duel, just because there's a little bit of revenge factor in this that I think is gonna, have this a little bit more amped than usual.
Yeah, and I think when it comes down to this point, coaching plays a part because you guys know we always said you got the Jims and the Joes. Well, both teams have the Jims and the Joes. I think Coach Boyles did a great job of defensive coordinating the game. And you guys heard a million times, offense sells tickets, defense wins championships. And if you look at this game, defensive stat-wise, they are 7 and 8. I think the Bucs are ranked 7th and the Packers are ranked 8th. So they're right on top of each other. Offensively, the same way. It's going to come down to Vegas has got it. It's a 3-point spread on the game. But again, I think they're all professionals. But I think now it comes down to coaching. You got the quarterback whisperer, and you got the defense coordinator that's bringing it from everywhere. Then you got the young LaFleur and defense coordinator. Who's the defensive coordinator for Mike Pedheim is the defense coordinator for the Packers. So I think those guys got to get into the film and really break it down. The Bucs are going to hurt you on the check down. Brady loves the check down. You watch it lately, Fournette, those guys are getting the check downs. They're scoring touchdowns on passes. He's going to stretch the field. Now with Brown out, he's really going to try to stretch the field and throw the check down. And they're coming out of the secondary. And that's not great. When your D-line or your linebackers aren't your leading tacklers. Now the Bucs, they got a guy with 145 tackles, another guy with 117 tackles. So they're making plays, plus they're getting pressure up front. So it's going to be a great matchup. And again, I wear the green and the gold, but I'm a statistics guy. And right now, the numbers say it's the Packers -3. So it's going to be a close football game.
And you guys talked earlier about the preparation with the coaches and the players, but I promise you both staffs are looking at every single game that those teams played this year, and particularly the teams that ran similar offenses and defenses schematically, and really taking a look at how both sides of the ball they attacked each other, and then get ideas from that. And there was a lot of late nights this week for the coaches, and like George mentioned, the preparation of players will be a lot higher as well. So there's no shortage of film to be looked at this week when you get this much tape on somebody.
Clancy, I know it's been 2 weeks into it now, but if you have a bye week beforehand, is there any extra work that you do in preparation for a couple weeks ahead, or do you really try to stay focused on just that next game? Meeting?
Yeah, during a bye week, I always try to look at the cut-ups of my own defense and see maybe how people were attacking us, and then you do look a little bit further out, and most staffs will go ahead in the off season and take a look at teams within the division for sure that they're going to play twice, and kind of have a general idea of what they like to do offensively and how you might attack them. And a lot of times when you put together your off-season personnel and scheme, you're doing it to combat the teams within your own division because you got to play them twice.
Good words. Good word. Let me make sure. That is my deal with the echo, so I'm sorry I keep hitting mic on your muting you over here, Kenny, so my mic is echoing.
Let's take this second real quick to make sure everybody knows that this show today is brought to you by Dry Towel. Dry Towel, when you're being active, sweat on. Dry Towel is the first towel engineered for skin. Other fabrics like cotton and microfiber can maintain bacteria, stains, and odors. Dry Towel, worn by champions, developed by champions. Go to drytowel.com. That's DRI-towel.com. We appreciate those boys.
Yeah, speaking of which, tell Reggie I said what's up.
Oh, yeah, I would definitely make sure you do that. He's walking around here somewhere, so we're very glad of him. Yeah, he brought us some gear. We got some stuff. Oh, well, he ain't bringing enough for all of y'all, baby. We're working on that part of the deal right now, but I will be rocking some new gear here today, so we're thankful for them. Which, man, those gear. I got to ask you, is it just because, and I don't know what y'all wore on the sideline, Clancy, in cold games like that, but the best gloves I thought, and I don't even know if they still make them. Do they still wear them scuba gloves up there when it's cold?
Saranac glove, that black one's like a scuba glove. Used to slide that thing on like he was going underwater. You remember that Saranac glove? Yeah.
You're muted, George.
Sorry, I was asking JT if he wore gloves like that up at Drake.
No, see, well, first of all, at Drake, nobody cared about the football team, apparently. It was all about the basketball team. And at the time, they're undefeated now, but at the time, they were trash. There was only one team winning championships, and it was us. But we would just get latex gloves, like the ones that the trainers would wear. We put the latex gloves on first. And then
You should do like this.
My what? He's frozen. I can't.
Put the hand on the arm.
Oh, well, yeah, but
I said you probably should put your hands under your armpits.
yeah. Well, you just get the little latex medical gloves, and then you put your regular gloves on top of them, and your hands they'd be hot, they'd sweat. So as long as you had some latex gloves to put under there, we were all right.
Yeah, and the heat warmers in your pockets too are important.
Mm-hmm.
Whether the player wears the pouch around the wrap around pouch around their waist, or if, as a coach, you put them in your pockets and reach down in there, and they'll keep your hands pretty warm too.
And we invested in Vaseline. This is no joke. We lube up our heads and anything that was exposed, and especially your toes. Your toes got to be lubed up so when you slide your socks on. Because if your toes freeze, cancel Christmas. Because back in Green Bay, they'd come to the game, they'd have a sleeping bag, and they put themselves inside the sleeping bag on those. Back when I played, we had concrete. It was a whole concrete bowl. And if your feet got cold in that concrete bowl, it's over. So they bring the sleeping bag to get their body inside of it, make sure your feet are lubed up. And that's how they did it in the early 80s. But, they've rebuilt the stadium since then. And it's all 21st century now. So they got everything nice and new. So
It
That is
doesn't matter.
You can imagine.
No, dude, I almost burned my feet off, literally, in that game I was telling you about, because I stick my foot in front of the little fire tubes or whatever because my toes were so cold. They had the little heat blowers that go under the thing, but it wasn't working well enough for me, so I really just put my foot right up there, and I wasn't paying attention, and I looked back down, and my shoestrings were on fire, literally on fire, and so I had to quickly kick my shoes off and try to get me some new ones in the middle of the game because it's ridiculous on how cold it is, and oh man, I'm getting sick just thinking about that game. And it was against the Raiders, and we kicked their tails because they ain't want no part of that game at all. Well,
I don't know if you guys remember way back. This was, I don't know, Coach Clancy, you probably remember this, maybe 86. Steve Young played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we played the Buccaneers up in Lambeau and got 2 feet of snow. Steve Young threw like 6 interceptions. I had Tim Lewis and Mossy Cade, those guys that picked him off. Alfonso Carricker, number 1 draft pick from Florida State, sacked him 1 million times, and we beat the mess out of them. And they were on that bus and playing so fast out of Green Bay. I think it was a running clock in the NFL game. It was the funniest thing ever. But they could not stand it. It was awesome.
Well, let's figure out who got picks on this. I guess I'll start first. How are y'all predicting this game out? The Bucks and the Packs. I'm taking the Pack to win. I think I think it will be a good game going on, but I think the Pack will excel a little bit more. I think they cover. Say that way. I think they cover and send the GOAT quickly back to the plane or the bus, like you said, and have him back in Tampa.
JT, who you got?
I got the Packers. Man, I got the Packers to cover. I think this is probably, I don't know, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say this is probably at least a 10-point game.
Wow. All right. Kenny, what about you?
I'm gonna say a team in the NFC is gonna win the game.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I wear the green and gold, and I'm retired, so I get my retirement check from them. But it's gonna be tough. I couldn't really tell you, to be honest with you. The numbers say the Bucks win this game. The numbers say that, and they got the greatest player of all time on their team. And they got a great defense. So the numbers say the Bucks win the game. Who am I going to pick? I'm going to pick the Bucks. So
there you go. All right, going out on a limb there, as George said. Coach, what about you? How do you see it?
I think as George mentioned earlier, with the way the score was last time, there's going to be a little more added incentive for Green Bay. I think there was a bad taste in their mouth, obviously, from that last game. I think it's going to come down to who runs the ball better, and I'm concerned about Green Bay stopping the run, but I do think that they'll win at home. I don't know what the score will be, but I take the Packers at home.
Yeah, and I think I see things pretty much the way you guys do, except maybe Ken. I've got the Packers in a somewhat closer game, I think, than JT thinks, like a 24-20. Not too high scoring because you just don't know what's going to happen with the weather. But I definitely think the Packers are a better team. And being at home, even though, you don't have a stadium full of fans, there won't be any Lambeau leaps and any arms going on today. But I just think they're a better team. And again, you got the revenge factor after that Week 6 matchup. So that's the direction I'm going.
Well, y'all see how Kenny coaches his game now, why he gets so many delay of games, because if it's fourth down or something, it's going to take a forever to make a call.
Statistics, these numbers, and there's number crunching, and they got all these guys they hire to look at all these computer numbers. And so I jump into the numbers a lot. I'm a big numbers guy, and the numbers speak for me. So that's why it takes me a little bit longer to make a decision. I'd love to see the Packers win. I think it'd be a great win, but I think a lot's going on. This whole COVID and 2020, 2021. I think it's destiny true for the Bucs to play the Super Bowl in their own home stadium for the first time in history, and for the greatest player of all time to leave a franchise, come to a franchise that hadn't been to the playoffs in 14 years, and take them to the Super Bowl. I just think it's destiny. It's things happen that way. God's got a plan, and this is the football God's plan. So we need to come back here next week, and I'm either have to eat pie or slap y'all with it.
Well, I bet that could be arranged for our Super Bowl preview show.
I think we can do that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Well, George, we want to take a quick break here, and then we'll come right back, and then we will talk about the AFC matchup between the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes and the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. And we're going to have Cornelius Bennett on, former Buffalo Bill, to talk a little bit about that. Is someone leaving us, or is everybody hanging on the rest of the way?
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Thank you, Kenny. We do appreciate your time.
We
got to get back to work.
All right. Well, very good. We'll be right back with more Teague Steak after this.
Increase time inside your home, noticing all the little things. Let Repair Resource be your one trusted contractor to tackle all of your home repair needs. They do it all: electrical, plumbing, drywall, painting, and flooring of all types. They can even handle your exterior needs, like fencing, patio covers, concrete pads, and decking. No job too big or small. Repair Resource does it all. Call them at 972-415-1198 or visit them online at www.repair-resource.com.
Hey, this is IndyCar Timm. I want to talk to you about the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, Texas. It's North Dallas's premier sports bar and grill, located at 1616 West Hebron Parkway. It's 16 minutes from just about anywhere in the DFW Metroplex. With all of the live action on dozens of TVs and the big screen, it's the place to hang out and watch the return of sports with all your friends. Friday and Saturday nights, you'll find the best live music in DFW right there at the Maverick Bar. And of course, on Thursday nights at 6 p.m., you'll find Teague's Take broadcasting live with Alabama and Cowboys legend George Teague. Come hang out and be part of the show. Check out the Maverick Bar and Grill in Carrollton, 972-492-7500, or on the web at themaverickbar.com. Hello, everybody. Welcome back into the Teague's Take podcast. NFL Championship game, NFL Championship Sunday preview show. We just talked about the NFC Championship game with the great Ken Stills, former Packer, former Viking. Had a lot of fun there. We're bringing into the show now, however, though, for the AFC matchup, Mr. Cornelius Bennett. Cornelius, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We appreciate you joining us. George's been talking a lot about having you on, and couldn't think of anybody better to come on and preview this game with us.
Well, thank you, and thanks, George, for having me. It's a great time, in our lives, I guess. Well, George, Alabama, but not the Cowboys.
You got to say it. You can go ahead and get that roll tide.
Well, but you still have Green Bay. I forgot you got drafted by Green Bay originally. So yeah, so you're still in it as well. So yeah, it's a good time for us.
Yes.
So I just read late yesterday evening, Patrick Mahomes has been cleared from concussion protocol. He will play. So it is going to be Mahomes versus Allen. And by the way, we talked about the NFC championship game being a rematch from week 6. This is also a rematch from the regular season of week 6 when the Chiefs came out on top. A little bit closer game than the Packers and the Bucks were, but I see things going much similar to the way they did in that week 6 matchup. Does anybody have anything that stands out here? You got a couple of air attacks that the opposing defenses are going to have to be battling. But I think here in the championship game, you might have the running games be a little bit more important here.
Well, first of all, it's kind of reminiscent of when I was playing in 1993, the last championship game that the Bills played in. Buffalo and Kansas City played twice that year. We played them in the regular season, and they gave it to us pretty hard. I mean, they beat us pretty good during the regular season. So we were kind of itching to get back, and have a chance to play them again, and we did in the AFC championship game that year, and we gave it right back to them in the championship game. I think it was Joe Montana's last football game as a professional. So hopefully we can go out and it's ironic that Joe went out the game with a concussion. I'm not saying anything about Patrick Mahomes, but it is kind of similar to the whole situation. So I'm looking for Buffalo to go in and do their thing and go to the 5th Super Bowl and hopefully this time win one.
Well, I'll be waiting for a long time.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
The passing game, I'm interested to see, with Mahomes' toe, with that, how much that's going to bother him and affect him, because that he was pretty gimpy in the game, and as you guys know, those toe injuries can be pretty painful. So I see Buffalo trying to pressure him up inside to flush him out of the pocket and get him on the move, and see how accurate he is once they get him out of the pocket. Would be my decision on how to attack him with that injury.
Yeah, that's a good point with the concussion or the choke out or whatever you want to call it. Everybody's kind of lost sight of that toe injury that he suffered earlier in the game. So that's going to have to be a factor. And yeah, Clancy, that's a good point. That should be a way they try to attack him to start the game.
I think I'm a little bit, I'm not really worried about the concussion piece, not in the sense that we're taking it lightly. I just don't know if that was if that was just being careful, with him going into this one. Of course, if it was concussed, you always have to be worried about the second one because if he catches get hit kind of crazy, this game, then it's not good for him. This close together to have a second kind of deal like that. So when you put that in there with the toe, and does he really go out of bounds? Does he try to juke somebody out or not? Because he is a little risky. How much will that affect his mentality of maybe trying to get the extra yards that he will get sometimes? And plus, I think it's going to be a turnover type game, or who wins this turnover battle. I think the way Mahomes has actually been turning the ball over lately, I think that gives a slight advantage to the Bills because they're playing better defense than they've been playing. But there's a little bit, But hey, man, somebody on that team set a record, or at least tied a record last week. So I'm feeling pretty good about what they're doing with their defense. But this one, I'm just worried about Mahomes and what he can do, as Clancy said, with his toe coming off a concussion. Man, I just hope that he's mentally ready to battle.
Hey, I don't want to just breeze over the fact that records are set by great athletes.
Oh man, that is funny. It's great that when you're sitting there and you're watching someone run an interception, and I'm watching the game, and it's weird not even knowing you see him, and I'm thinking, oh, he's just gonna go down, and he doesn't go down. Then he's running, it seemed like it took forever for him to get down there. I was like, is somebody gonna catch this dude? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be happy or what's going on. And, the funny part, I'd say the funniest part is the person I got the first text message from was my son, JT, and I can't even remember the exact words, but it was like, hey, bro, you might want to check on that one because you might be down. You might be gone. So,
that was your rookie year, right, with the Packers?
It was my rookie year with the Packers, yes.
Right.
Yes. So,
wow.
I really didn't even think of forgetting geez, how many years ago it was that he's even been untouched like that. So I'm happy for them, for what's his name, Johnson, that he was able to do that. But, you're right, Clancy and all you guys, Biscuit, you know it. I mean, all the Pro Bowls you've been to, the great career that you had at Alabama and all that kind of stuff, that players will show up in games like these, guys that you don't expect. We can call out all the superstars in these games on both teams to win, to do stuff. And I just think this is where scouts have to do their job and they figure out who really are going to make the plays when you're on the stage. You're the only game on. And, is Davis going to play for the Bills? Have they talked about that already? Is he going to be one of the wide receivers that plays? I didn't look at the scouting report or the injury report.
He's still listed as questionable.
Yeah.
No,
so
I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. I know they did get I think one of the DBs back this week as well. But I don't know.
Well, and that's a factor, right? When you don't.
Yeah,
Clancy, how do you do that? What do you guys do as coaches when you're looking at these reports, whether guys can play or not? What does the coaching staff do when they're? I mean, we're looking at it fans for fantasy and all that, trying to figure out our lineup. But what do you do as a coach when you're looking at these injury reports?
Yeah, I always felt like if they're questionable, they're going to play. If they're doubtful, then that's kind of the cutoff point. But if they're questionable, you got to pretty much anticipate that they're going to at least give it a go, or even if they were limited in practice, once that doubtful goes in there, usually don't see them. But if they're listed any other way than that, you got to prepare for them. And they, depending on how bad their injury was, I'm sure they rested them all week and go out there early and take a look at it in pregame. And usually what I try to do was go out there early once you got to the stadium and kind of watch the other guys, watch whoever was injured warm up because they're usually out there with trainers and the medical staff to see if they're able to go or not. And usually get a good feel by watching them in pregame, how they're moving around. Then, so many minutes before the game, I think it's 50 minutes before the game, you get the inactive report. There's got to be so many guys on the inactive list. And then, you can just determine then whether they're up or down.
Yeah, but George, as a player, though, we try to do everything in our power to show up on Sundays. But the one thing I never messed around with is when I hurt my knee or hamstring or whatever. I the trainers, the head coach, that first meeting every morning is between the head coach and the trainers to see who's up and who's down. I know that, that, and coach knows that as well. But as a player, you try to do everything in your power, thinking about your future as well to play, and show up for your teammates. But when you have lower extremity injuries, you tend to take it a little bit easier as far as trying to go or not. I know there were times when I wanted to play, like the Houston Buffalo game, the comeback game. I was out with a hamstring, and I wanted to play, and I tried, just like Coach said, up until almost game time, to the last minute to go, and I just couldn't. But then you have to go with what you have, and you hope that guy that the non-superstar guy that's filling in or whatever goes out and have the best game of his life and help contribute to a team win.
Yes, sir. You're right. I mean, it's never a good feeling as a player when you have to go out and do a little bit of extra work before the game to try to get that nod up or down, and someone has to come and tell you you can't play or put your street clothes back on or whatever it is. That has happened to me a couple times, and that's
Yeah. I
not
have a
comfortable. What
good
do
one. I have one. Yeah, I have one. Derek Thomas story. Talk about Kansas City. My senior year, I was out with a hamstring. My backup, when talking about one of those guys coming in and having the game of their lives kind of situation or whatever, that was Derek Thomas coming out for it. We played Ohio State in the kickoff classic, and Derek went out and showed out. And from then, of course, he's one of the greatest to ever do it. So that's what you're hoping for when you have any player go down. The next man up is just as good or better.
I'm gonna have to have you on for one of our little high school shows about the recruiting and saying that they're gonna get somebody good to come here right behind you, push you a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yes, sir. That's what
Different
it's
story.
about, right? That's what it's
That's
about.
right.
Trying to find
That's
the
right.
next one. Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Well, about this Josh Allen cat? Is he ready to go ahead and get him to the bowl? Does youth really matter here, or is he ready? Can he get them over the hump? And battle with Mahomes under these type of pressures and get them to the Super Bowl.
Well,
I don't think the youth
go ahead.
matters too much. I mean, you got two young quarterbacks here in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, one's already done it. Jared Goff is young and he made it to Super Bowl somehow. So I don't see why Josh Allen couldn't make enough plays and rely on a pretty good defense to get them over this one.
And I think Josh Allen is infinitely better than Jared Goff at this point, and probably has a higher ceiling at this point. So it's really up to Brian Daboll. And by the way, how did Brian Daboll not be a fit for any of these head coaching positions that were available here before? But it's up to him to keep Allen loose and to keep the game plan flowing for him and keep him in a rhythm and keep him confident there in the pocket.
I definitely feel that way as well. Josh, in this year of his career, looking back over his previous 2 years or whatever, he made a lot of mental errors, holding on to the ball too long, kind of thing or whatever. I think Stephon Diggs coming in and helped build his confidence during the offseason. From day one of Diggs getting traded, they were working together. I think just confidence of having a true number one receiver has really, paid dividends for him and his confidence. And, Mahomes, they won last year. So let us, old Buffalo Bills, man, we need one. We need Super Bowl win. And I think it's our time, man. He's playing too good in defense. A bunch of young kids are showing up and showing out.
Well, Cornelius, as a lifelong Cowboys fan, I really enjoyed those early '90s Super Bowls against you guys. But I'm tell you what, man, I'm pulling for you now. I'm pulling for the Bills this year.
Well, I appreciate it. We need all the help we can get.
Yep.
No, I was going to say Allen's maturation has been fun to watch. He's really grown as a player, and you can see his confidence every week, grow. And like you mentioned, Stephon Diggs, I think, has been a big part of it, and just their whole offensive scheme. I think they do a great job of Coach Daboll being very innovative in what they do and how they utilize their skill pieces. And I think they kind of the quiet unsung heroes of that offense is really their tight end play and their ability to block in the running game. And then, they sneak them out off play action and they seem to have guys wide open all the time. So I think just watching their offense has been fun. And I think Kansas City's going to have their hands full. I think George mentioned the turnovers are going to be huge, and whoever's defense I think plays better is going to win the football game.
So what do we think about watching Buffalo last week? I can't remember the exact numbers of how many times they threw the ball. Is what percentage of pass is this game going to have between both teams? The two questions: percentage of pass and of their running backs, team rushes for more yards.
Wow, I think Buffalo. Probably both teams always want to come out and establish a running game or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, just because of systems or whatever, I think Buffalo would definitely try to be more 50, 50-50, 60-40 run, pass. Pass run, unless they get behind or whatever. Kansas City. I just, they're a passing team. They got the best young gun out there right now. So if he's able to go, I just, to try to protect him. I think they won't pass as much as they have in the past because of trying to protect him. But I think it'll be fairly equal across the board. Run pass for both sides. But at the end of the day, I think Kansas City, throw the ball more than they run the ball.
Well, just for numbers, last week Buffalo against Baltimore, it was a 70-30 split. Pass 70% pass, 30% run.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the weather report. Kansas City tomorrow. It's supposed to be upper 30s with rain. So that could
sounds like Buffalo.
Sounds like Buffalo, right? I think it's going to be warmer in Buffalo tomorrow than it is in Kansas City. But yeah, so that could certainly that could influence the play calling for sure.
Yeah. I don't think the weather, is going to be a factor. What I do believe now at the end of the game, I just like I told Martin last week, George, I think it come down to the kicking game. I really do. I think the kicking game, just like it did last week against Baltimore, I think whoever kicks the ball better, and in the weather, again, it's very similar to Buffalo. I think the kicking game will be a deciding factor. Close game.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if Buffalo's sold on their running game or not. Like basically on the stats that he's saying here, going 70-30, even against the Ravens or whatever. I don't know if that matters on who you play, but it just seems like an awful lot. I don't know if that's standard for most teams across the league. I'm with you, Biscuit. I think most teams will try to get, they want to be 50-50 all the time, but 60-40. But Clancy, man, when someone's up at 70% pass, does that make it easier for you, or do you get concerned and worry about getting tricked, coming to the game?
Yeah, I think what you look at is on those passes, when are they happening? Are they in more second longer situations, or are those passes coming on first down? So I think they're just putting the balls in their playmakers' hands with the quarterback and with Diggs and their skill people and trying to spread it around. But I think you just got to look at, okay, when are those happen on 2nd and 7+? Does it happen on 2nd and 3-6? Or, when are those, there's a pocket in there on 1st and 2nd down where those passes are showing up. Because, of course, 3rd down, there's going to be probably 15 to 20 of those, and they're going to be a higher percentage of pass. So you kind of throw those out, but you really focus on 1st and 2nd down to see where they're showing up. And then have your calls accordingly.
That's a good word. That's a good word. I don't know. I'm looking for a shootout. I think there is going to be high percentage pass on this. I get the weather, again, the elements and things of that nature, and you got to establish your run. I'm just not sold, and Mr. Reed, man, Coach Reed, he's gonna have some stuff up his sleeve, and I think some of it's going to be trying to strike and get some big plays nice and quick and early and try to give himself some cushion. But got two great coaches, man. Two great coaches battling this one out.
And some great coordinators too. Don't forget that two great offensive coordinators on each side there. So I agree with you. It could, but I still think it's going to be a close game, even if it's a high scoring game. I still think it's going to be a close game, and then come down to I'll say who kicks the ball better in the weather as far as making field goals.
Well, this is a sidebar question, I guess. So, y'all think Houston's waiting for Eric Bieniemy to try to figure out how these games go the next couple of months, decide if he's going to be the head coach of the Texans or what?
No, no.
I don't think they know what they're waiting on.
What'd you say, Biscuit?
I said I don't think they know what they're waiting on. I'm judging by everything I've been reading and listening to, man. It sounds like a. I don't even know what to call it, man. It's crazy.
Why would you interview a guy that's on the team right now?
Because they don't know.
That tells me that you don't know. You know the business of football, but you don't know football. Business. Because that's terrible. I mean, you got to think about George. We both played for a minute. You got to think about the locker room and team meetings and respect factor when guys come into that building. And I compliment Sean McVay and Sean McDermott because they are younger coaches, but especially Sean McVay being about 34, 35 or whatever, coming in and the respect. You get a guy, when I retired, I was 35. And I was treated, almost like a coach there by the guys or whatever, but the respect part of it. Is he respectable? Is he respectful? The guys click with him. I mean, that kind of thing has to play in it, bro. And you know that when you get that vibe, and you walk in the locker room, and your head coach, he ain't looking at you in the eye, and you don't want to look at him. You don't want to be at work, kind of thing, whatever. That's a big part of it. And I don't know, guy coming straight off the field and talking about being a head coach. There's a lot that goes into that. Yeah. I don't know if I could respect him.
Well, I don't know. Maybe JT or Tim, y'all can go ahead and apply too. Maybe y'all get an interview.
I know I might get an interview. Shoot.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, okay. Well,
But you have the patience for it. You have the patience for it. Yeah, you could. I think he could do it. I've kept up with you over your coaching career. I think you have the patience for that kind of job.
I think this is the time where I say you're breaking up and I can't hear you.
Is that better?
No, yeah, you're fine. I was just saying that sarcastically and stuff.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you. I feel you now. Okay. Yeah.
All right. So,
some
how
predictions.
do y'all feel about this game? Yeah. How about some predictions? I went first last time. Clancy, you get the first round on this one. Who you got, Clancy?
I think, like you alluded to earlier, the turnovers are going to be critical and in this game. And I really think I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to take Buffalo. I like the way Leslie Frazier's defense is playing right now, and I think they're very well coached defensively, with their head coach being a defensive guy. So I look for Buffalo to win this game on the road. I think they're kind of on a roll, and I'm going to go with Buffalo.
All right. JT?
Well, I think I did pretty good on my picks last week, so I kind of followed the same principle this week, looking at trends and just removing myself from the X's and O's. I've got Buffalo winning this one.
All right.
In a dogfight.
All right. How about that,
Biscuit?
man? Y'all
Biscuit?
making me smile. I got the biggest smile.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm just not sold on Mahomes being, even though if he plays, I'm not sold on him being, of course he's not gonna be 100%, even without the injury or whatever. So I don't know if he'll last the whole game, and don't want to see him get injured again or whatever. But I just don't know. Right now he's very fragile, and we'll see after the first hit that he takes whether or not he's ready to go or not. But again, as I said earlier, I think it's going to be a close game. How many points I don't know, but I think it'll come down to the kicking game, and I think Buffalo right now is kicking on all cylinders, especially the kicking game. So Mark Levy was a big special teams guy, and I've always paid attention to it, and I like this young kicker that Buffalo has, and Buffalo wins maybe by field goal.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll go next, and Tim, I'll let you bring it up because I love what the angle that you bring. But three have already won for Buffalo. I think JT and I both were 4-0 last week, I think, on our picks. So I won't even talk. I don't know where Tim was. He probably can bring
But I'd have to pull that. I don't know if that was accurate or not.
Well, and you get a asterisk on yours because you were not going to pick the Bills, and you waited till I made my pick, and you changed your mind. So
I said you guys made some very good points that made me flip my pick, and I flipped my pick to the right one. So hey, that's what it is. But these two I've already had. I knew who I was going to pick. One was going to be the Packers, which I have. Okay, so mark that one down, Tim. And this one, I'm similar to what he said. I'm really worried about. I think there's so many weapons on the Chiefs, and it's very hard to not pick these guys. I mean, you got Tyreek. you got Kelsey. I mean, you got Mahomes, and it just, man, they're just so explosive at any point in time, right? But I am worried, just like Biscuit is, about is Mahomes truly okay? Is he going to get with that toe like Clancy was talking about and all these kind of things? And I think that with the momentum that Buffalo has, they're going to ride it again. I think they're going to outlast the Chiefs. So I'm taking the Buffalo to win a close one heading to the Super Bowl this year.
Yay, Buffalo.
Well, this might be the only show in America with a 5-man panel that is going to sweep the Bills picks, because I also have the Bills winning this one on the road. Mahomes finished the season as poorly as he did, and I know he played well against the Browns, but this is not the Browns defense. This is the Bills defense, and like Clancy said, man, I love Leslie Frazier's scheming and game planning. I think he's going to have it set up for Mahomes. And again, like George said, we don't really know Mahomes' health as far as the toe, or after his choke out / concussion, what his mental facilities are going to be up there. But yeah, I've got the Bills like a 27-23 win here.
All right.
So exciting news for Cornelius, brother.
Yay.
Too, man. I'd love to see the Bills go back to the Super Bowl. Mainly because I wrote an article earlier in the year when I said I didn't think the Chiefs could repeat as Super Bowl champion. So I want to make sure that comes true.
Whatever it takes, brother. Whatever it takes. Yeah, let's go. It's been a long time coming, and wow, that'd be a big for the city of Buffalo. It would be an awesome sight. And to start out where we started,
So
37 years ago in Tampa. I'll run it, yeah.
Cornelius, all I ask is when they win and they make it to the Super Bowl, please video yourself or take a picture of the stuff that you do on Twitter.
Don't worry.
I know you're going to be crying. Take the one, not when you're smiling, but when you got them tears coming out of your eyes because your guys are back.
Yeah.
Make sure I get that photo. You DM me that thing, and
I sure will. If it happened, I sure will. I'll run up and down the street. I almost say my name, but I run down the street screaming.
All right.
I definitely will.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, man. I thank you again for your time, for coming on and talking, to us a lot about this. It's always good to connect with former players,
Yes, sir.
especially when they from the Tide, baby. So
you know it. Roll Tide, baby. Thanks for having me on, and let's go Buffalo.
All right.
Go Bills. Thanks, Cornelius. There he goes.
I'm out.
Hopping on. Well, George, anything else before we wrap things up?
Man, no, man. I think we got it done. Clance, really appreciate you coming in and hanging out for us for the full show. That you tend to come on for half the show, and really delighted that you're giving us the opportunity to come on and continue to shoot that knowledge for them, especially, from the coaching side. We can all talk from analytics and player side and things of that nature, but what you bring to the table is awesome, man. So I really, really appreciate it. Okay.
Well, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure.
Yep. And we'll do this again next week, I'm sure. So you be welcome to come back on with us again. I'll be sure to text you during these games. I'll probably miss the game tomorrow. The first game I'll miss because we'll be at practice out here with the Blue-Gray game tomorrow. But I'll get a chance to see the second game after we get out of practice. And I'll be sending Tim those text messages again. But
I always appreciate those.
Who'd you pick in the first one, Tim? Did you pick the Pack or the Bucks?
Packers.
Did we all pick the Packers?
Yeah.
Except
for Kenny.
Except for Kenny.
Play for the Packers. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I guess I'll be texting him during the game. But he lives down there in Florida. He back. Look at it. He want to catch.
That's right. Go. Let's go now.
He can change clothes. He put his blue-gray clothes on because he got to go do some stuff there too. So that's it, guys. Thank you again to Dry Towel and Sweatless brand. You guys will hear a whole lot more about them in the future here as we continue to go forward. So that's it. I do got to get to some blue-gray football too. Start talking to I'm coaching linebackers this week.
All right.
Yes, sir. So Got to try to win one, man. Got to try to win one. I keep losing by 1 point or 2 points or something. I got to get over the hump, Clancy. So if I call you during halftime of the game on Monday, please pick up because I might need to make some halftime adjustments. All right.
Hey, just make sure those linebackers are getting off blocks and tackling.
That's right. That's right. All right.
All right, everybody. We want to appreciate everybody for tuning in here on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. If you're listening to the recorded podcast, please subscribe, like, share this with everybody, and make sure you tell all your friends that we will be back next week for the Super Bowl preview show with presumably Coach Pendergast, and I'm sure George will have another couple of surprises for us as far as guest analysts as well. But for George, for JT, I'm Tim. We'll see you next week. Take care. Enjoy the games tomorrow.